All right, y'all. Welcome to episode 17 of Vino Conversations. Today, I am joined by...
It's your boy, D. Aaron Elijah here. Speaks and Sip in the building. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Bro, this has been in the works. It's been a while, but we got it here today. As always, we start with a cheers and a little bit of a tasting because it is early. Don't ask us how early. We got the little mimosa vibe going on. So cheers, my boy.
Cheers, brother.
Give it a tasting for our ratio. You feel me?
Ooh.
It's a good mimosa, I ain't gonna lie.
It is.
Very balanced, bro. Very balanced.
Ooh, okay. My skills is there.
You did it, bro. I feel like the ratio has to be right. I don't like the whole Prosecco with one drop of orange juice. Just drink Prosecco, bro.
That's it.
There's no reason to do everything else. And I don't like it when I feel like I'm tasting straight juice. So I'm gonna give you 10 out of 10 for this, bro.
Nice. Okay, yeah. Respect.
Sure.
Let's go. See, I wasn't even aware that you was about to do that.
Yeah, bro. 100%, bro.
Yo, all right, let's get into this, man.
100%.
Like, this is something I know this is something different for you guys. Like, you're looking at a collab here.
Yep.
We literally just going. I don't even want to really call it an interview.
Nah, just kicking about a bunch of shit.
We about to have a talk and whatnot. So let me ask you, what really got you started with podcasting?
So podcasting, that would go into my soccer stuff actually. Because the first time I came here was for the soccer stuff. So all the way back in 2018, I started a brand with one of my best friends, Josh, called Wavy Footy. And so the concept of that, footy being another way of saying soccer, and then wavy, like how do we make soccer kind of cool in America? Okay. So really the idea of growing the culture in America, but through the lens of Black culture. Because when you think about how deeply we're tied to the NBA, NFL, automatic, right? That already exists.
It's given, yeah.
But soccer, it's not like that in America, but it is everywhere else. France, all the Black dudes, soccer. Look at who won. And actually, France won the World Cup in 2018. They were 90% Black players. You know what I'm saying? England looks the same. Africa, obviously. Brazil. So how do we bring that culture we're already part of globally in our diaspora to America? And so aside from just talking about the sport, it's how do you incorporate fashion and music and kind of show all this global Black excellence to make Black people here feel like, nah, we belong in this, bro. Yes. And the other thing, too, is we never really had our commentary in the game. You think about, Stuart Scott from ESPN, what he did for the NBA, kind of having our voice on top of the game. It's like, how do we bring that there? So started off with just still IG posts, kind of building a little community. Eventually got into hosting some watch parties. Then 2022, we're like, we got to take this media side to a whole nother level. So that's when we started the Five-A-Side podcast, brought on some other guys. And then from there, have really been able to blow it up. And so that was my first level of podcasting. Then got into, the Vino, the R&B, the events and that. And I was like, I feel like instead of just an event, let me have a media element to it as well, because I'm already experienced in the media realm.
I love that.
And then that's how Vino Conversation started. So
nice.
That's like a little backstory there.
Okay, I love that. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you was ready. You had that down
pat.
Yeah,
I'm gonna lie. I've been on a few recently.
I feel like down pat, yo.
I feel like explaining it so many times.
Okay. So for me, damn, my minds don't sound
what about you, bro? Yeah.
So for me, what's crazy is for yours sounding like a little bit more forward and embraceful.
Yeah.
So for me, the thing is funny because I was someone that actually wanted to be away from the camera.
Okay.
I wanted to shy away from the camera. A lot of stuff that I did in the past is like operations behind the scenes stuff. And then when it came to just Speaks and Sip, it was more so like, with everything else, you kind of just realize sometimes like, you just got to do it to get it done.
That's real.
You know?
That's very real, bro.
So it's like, you know what? Let me just show up.
Yeah.
And let's get into it. I'm already someone that's like a conversationalist.
Yeah.
So I like to talk like it don't matter what it's about.
Yeah.
Like my whole thing is like, if you're just gonna have the conversation, have the passion.
Yeah.
That's it. So I try to lead with that. And the biggest thing for me with Speaks and Sip is we really had like to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
So from the unknown, for curiosity, for the doubt.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like there's so much content and stuff that we intake, but at the same time, we're still so ignorant to a lot of stuff.
That's real, bro.
It's like we don't really understand a lot of concepts. So I do love to bring people from different worlds and kind of just sit them down, have that community talk and get people to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like just lead with like positive words of affirmation. I have something called the Speak Up.
Okay.
And that's usually something I do like towards the end of the episode where it's like, it doesn't have to be in the field of what they do, but just so that it's heard to the audience for people to have something to embrace.
Yeah, I like that, bro.
I
think that's important stuff.
That's really where I'm at with it. And I've been enjoying it. I'm not gonna lie. This shit is a good ride, for real. Yeah.
What's been your relationship with building a podcast? Because I think it's one of the more difficult things to do. especially when you think about like subscriber count and what it means to really build up like the long form.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people fall in love with the social clips trying to go viral, the quick little IG videos, TikTok, whatever. But how's it been for you working on like building out like actual episodes and making it a show? So I think that's the thing people think. It's harder than people think.
Yes.
I think we just pull up, talk, whatever. But like first off, to even be able to do that, you have to develop the skill of being on mic, knowing how to naturally flow with somebody. So like what's that been for you kind of building it?
Confused, hate, love, hate, confused.
Yeah, bro, roller coaster. It's not linear. People think shit linear. It's not linear, bro.
Let me that was an easy one. Let me tell you something. It's a business no matter what. You know, it's branding no matter what.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it like the fun part, I guess, is just sit down and talk. Like, okay,
vibes,
whatever. Like people
cool.
do that like no matter what. That's a day-to-day normal thing.
Yeah.
But when understanding everything, even like just like the mesh of personality types, understanding the message that you would like to be, you know, pushed out there, what exactly your mission is, like a lot of those things. So for me, it like I said, it's confused at first. Like you try to figure it out, but I'm someone I'm always up for the challenge.
Yeah.
So then it was one of those things where it's like, yo, damn, like I gotta do this. And also like I know for most of us, it's not just myself, we have other jobs or do other things as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, just juggling like
the balance is
the balance is really where it's at. So and then it's like it turned into one of those things where like because I understood what I wanted from sitting down having those conversations with people. Hearing it from others, like even for myself, that should be motivational for me. You know what I'm saying? Hear what people have to say and shit. It's like, yo, keep going. And just being able to be in a pocket with people that are working, doing stuff, like just progression and positivity. Like I'm here for it.
That's dope, bro.
Like I'm here for it. So I think ultimately like it, like as you said, it is not linear. It is a fucking roller coaster.
100%.
Like, yo. All right, so for you, what I'll ask you is like, what was the hardest part for you to embrace, like, you know, as you started?
For overall the Vino stuff, or
you can do because technically it's just do I guess both.
You can do both. Yeah,
you can do both.
I think the soccer stuff was interesting because like black soccer culture in America, even the concept of that was super foreign back in 2018. And I think the work we've done, along with other people as well, has started to really build it up with the World Cup coming here next summer.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we're super excited for it. So by then it'll have been 8 years, you know what I'm saying? I also think the kind of the naivete of starting it. So I started, again, 2018, I was 21 at the time.
Okay.
So very young. I was still in college. And just, I didn't know what I was doing. I listened to a lot of Gary Vee, a lot of the inspirational. I knew about social media branding, but we didn't know what it was going to turn into eventually, like becoming a monetizable asset.
Yes.
And it was really just build community. We started doing like these photographer Fridays to highlight photographers who go to these soccer games here locally across America. And now we have a huge pool of them just shooting around the country. So we kind of built up that. Then it was Fashion Fridays, people who do like soccer, fashion stuff in America. So it was just slowly building community. Like, it was random ideas that just turned into actual substance. Like the Photographer Friday thing was a random idea me and my man's had, and we've been doing it since like 2019. So build community. First event, what should our first event be? Should it be a watch party? I guess we did a watch party. And then it just got to a point of like, okay, we got a few K, like we've got a little bit of a following. What's next? What's really monetizable the most? And then, you know, being big into podcasting, for instance, Royal Mall is probably my favorite podcast.
Okay.
Listening to people like Gary Vee, I'd always known if we get a video element to this can really move to another level. And then it was coming into this exact studio, or I guess actually they only had that one open at the time, Studio A, and just record, you know, fight the cost of it and keep investing into it, and knowing that one day you'll get a brand deal, one day you'll start working with the teams and leagues, and now we've made it to that. On the Vino side has been interesting because I left the group dynamic to do something solo and in a whole different realm, because it's focused about, you know, events and nightlife and really a lot of new music, specifically new R&B.
Was that an easy change for you?
I mean, it's always been part of me. So I actually always felt during the soccer stuff, I didn't want to be limited to being like the soccer nigga. Okay. You know what I mean? I love it. That's a huge part of me. I played it, grew up, everything. But I know that this other part of me had to come out too.
Yes.
And I knew in music specifically, new R&B is not like the most talked about thing in media. You know what I'm saying? Compared to hip hop music, compared to these other things.
Not to cut you off, I feel like right now R&B in general just isn't as relevant as it could be.
And that's why I'm here, bro. I gotta defend my genre.
I fuck with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
like,
it was all about occupying like a white space, as they call it, like an open area.
Yeah.
And so from there, just try to embrace that. And just doing it on my own has been a different experience, but it's also been good to have kind of full creative control and then make sure like all of me is being able to be seen. So it's been good. It's been good, bro. It's kind of also another key thing is the soccer shit I'm doing for so long, I can't compare it to like this
It's
and think
completely
that
different.
this should be at that level. Like, bro, I started at, you know what I mean? So you have to, each journey is its own journey. Got to be tunnel vision and just kind of go through it. So that's been my relationship with it.
You sound like you got everything sharp,
shit,
ready
bro.
to go, man. That's what I'm talking.
It,
I love that.
Thank you,
That's good. So, okay, so now chiming in more so on the Vino Vridays and the R&B of it, right? So when it comes to that, so I'm assuming, well, we had a conversation. West Coast, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's part of it too.
West Coast, right? R&B 2011 and up.
Yes, okay, so R&B isn't dead. That's the one you put up to.
Correct.
That was kind of like a double down, because R&B is not the only genre at the event, but that was a double down on the concept. And also even from a flyer, from a branding, from running ads on it to get people to pull up, I feel like that name really sticks out. It rings a certain way.
Yes.
When you see it on Black Link Up even, it kind of, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
And so that was around the same concept of new age R&B, but pushing it as like a real force as the main and only thing really much for that night. And so 2011 on. So I did this whole kind of graphic design thing about breaking down what really is new age R&B, kind of as a full-on guide. And I put in it for the first slide that I feel like Drake and The Weeknd would take care. And some of those songs like Crew Love was like the official mainstream switch to a new sound in the genre. And so the night was like, all right, 2011 onward, let's celebrate this new genre only. But of course, occasionally you'll hear some older stuff at my events as well.
Okay.
But yeah, that specific one was about that. But in general, for sure, new age R&B is always going to be at the forefront. Okay. That's what I feel like makes it different.
Let me ask then, right now, what is something that you currently are struggling with that you may be trying to do with the Vino Vridays?
That's a good one, bro. I think knowing how to get to new venues can be an interesting relationship.
Okay.
And also...
That's not all on you, though. So.
Facts. We'll talk about that, too. I feel like knowing when to go to new venues, even knowing, like, the rhythm and the cadence of it, I think can be interesting. So my first public one was only late February 24. So it's really been about a year and some change.
Okay.
My very first one was a private one in my apartment lounge as like a test run / it was my girl's B-day. That was December 23. So my first public one was only like
Let me tell you something. If that would have went bad, you would have been in trouble.
You know what I'm saying, right? No, it went well, bro. It went well, though. So it's only been like a year and a few months. And the growth has been steady. It's been good. But it's also knowing like, is every 3 weeks too often? Running it back at the same venue every 3 weeks? And then how do you... So I didn't start doing the 10 to 4s. My very first one was, do you know Lips Cafe in Flatbush?
Yes.
Yeah, it was, I think, 8 to 12. Or a little bit earlier. The next two were actually day parties. So like 4 to 9, 5 to 10 sort of vibes. And then another late night, or another one at Lips Cafe, like 8 to 1. And then I did my first one at Red Pavilion, because you came to Red Pavilion. That was my third or fourth at the time. My first like 10 to 4. But then recently, I've been doing more of those later night ones, and it's like, okay, how do I get back to a little bit earlier? So I think finding the cadence, finding the time frame, finding the different types of venues to make sure I'm not oversaturating it, to make sure I'm not giving people too much of the same thing, because I am still growing that following, still growing that group of people that are going to come consistently, because I don't have 20K followers. I haven't been doing this event for 10 years. So I think one of those things is just figuring out, okay, what's the cadence, what's the rhythm? Now I'm going to new cities. How do you know when to go to new cities? So I think that's been something for that too. Okay. And sometimes, shit, I ain't gonna lie, you can throw a great party and you don't hit the bar minimum. So how do you handle that?
That's why I said it's not all
you know
on
what
you.
I'm saying? It's I'm not gonna force y'all to drink. I just want y'all to have a good time. So how do you know what is that right number? And then sometimes it'd be the lower key events, they actually drink more than the turned up one. It's very interesting. But some things you also don't control. You gotta let go and, take the L, get the problem next time and keep it pushing. So and promotional fatigue. I be getting tired of promoting my shit, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, so I be getting tired. In a sense of what, like the social media presence?
Yeah, social media presence for sure. Because I'm the only host / I have no like people pulling up as hosts or other promoters.
Is that by choice?
Yeah, for sure, by choice. No, of course, bro. Fully by choice to have, just full control and everything. Yeah. But that just means I gotta post it. I gotta run an ad. I gotta do TikTok videos up from here. I gotta talk about it on here, do videos, flyers, stories, send it to mad people. Yeah. So it's very much like out the mud in that way. And sometimes the fatigue of the promo can get heavy. And then that goes into when do you post the flyer first? You do like 2 weeks in advance, 3 weeks in advance. But then if you have another one in 3 more weeks, it's like, are you just constantly promoting something? So that's something too that's been, the fatigue of it is like, fuck, by the time I get to the night, it's like, I just wanna enjoy this, bro. But then I drop the next flyer and it's like, fuck.
And now, as soon as the party's over, now it's back to the promo.
Bro, I'm telling you, facts. So that's been tough too. It's been tough.
Okay, so how did with all of what's going on, what's your relaxation? Like off cam, not at the party. What's your regular day? That is your regular day.
Yeah, facts,
What's
right?
your calm day like?
I do listen fitness, bro. I work out a bunch. So
talking my shit now.
Yeah, I'm saying we can get into fitness for sure. So a good, I say average 5 days a week.
Okay.
I say a good
That's
5
solid.
days a week. Yeah, try to get a little bit of cardio in there as well with the lifting. Push, pull, leg split. I'm in a really good rhythm with it. Feels good. It's a great mental relaxation.
Nice.
I do a lot of manifestation in those moments.
Yeah, sound like a really good relationship.
Yeah. Sometimes get out those negative thoughts. It's, you know what it is too? I live with my girl as well, so it's really good alone time.
Okay.
She usually goes like Pilates classes, things of that. But I just go to the Blink, headphones in, noise cancellation, dialed in, bro. So that's a good chill time for me. I honestly just love watching shows with her at night too.
Okay.
Chilling, a little glass of red, watching whether it's reality TV or a great movie or a new show. Just chilling with her, relaxing. And then when we do have time to, you know, got to go see centers with her, things like that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I love going to museums, love art, love fashion. So trying to find those moments. But then sometimes I'm outside so much, whether it's media stuff, events, excuse me. Just being able to relax at home. Like you pay rent to be at home. So sometimes like, dog,
enjoy your rent.
You know what I'm saying? So enjoying rent, honestly, sometimes is the best thing. Because I find myself, even on a Saturday, Sunday, am I actually just going to be able to chill inside today?
Yeah.
And when I am, that is a special moment for me.
Yeah,
so
I understand that. Yeah. For me, so with the fitness, that for me, that was my like first love. With
one?
The fitness.
Fitness, okay,
right?
Really.
So
were you an athlete too?
Yeah. So in the past, I did my main sport was actually football.
Okay.
So I went to Kennesaw State actually. So I went to Kennesaw State University.
Fine.
I played. Right from there, when I came back to New York, by that time I kind of like understood the concept of just working out, like But athletic training compared to like bodybuilding or something is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I started focusing more on that. My whole thing was I told myself I was like, man, I don't want a little boy body no more.
Yeah.
Like it's time to
That's what I felt too. Because I was coming from soccer too, so I was just skinny, fast as shit.
You know,
how do I now put that into some muscle and everything?
Yeah. So I channeled that. Within that time frame, I basically like just said, okay, cool. Let me get my certification, understand this more, understand the science behind it, all that stuff, and went from there. And like in reality, I just fell in love with it. So then from the scheduling, like my scheduling in particular, like early mornings, I can train someone as early as like 5 a.m. You know, so
you on that Ashton Hall, bro?
Yeah.
Like,
so we talking 5 a.m. and then it may go into like I've gotten home as late as like maybe like 9:30.
Okay.
You know, but in between times, you know, you find time for like a break, for lunch, for whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And it won't be stacked up all the time, back to back. I might have mornings, have a break, then you know have 2 or 3 at nighttime or whatever the case may be. So it's tough.
Yeah.
And then that's why. And then I sat here and told myself, okay, and I want to do SpeaksNSip.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like,
throwing events.
And you know, and do the events. So then with the events, shout out my boy Dre with the events. So what we started with the Beats and Sip. So the NSip umbrella, what we have. Then I did the SpeaksNSip. I felt like it was same thing, kind of what you said. It was an outlet where it's like this is a form of advertising, promo, branding for us
for sure.
as well.
Yeah.
And just like, as I started doing more of that, I started realizing like, yo, like it's tough. We get tired, but I'm like, man, it's definitely it's worth it, and I could do it. It's doable, you know. So, I looked at it, I embraced it, and I said, yo, let's go with it.
Yeah, it's
my day to day now. My relaxation time.
Yeah.
However, it's still like I'm kind of burnt out. It's still kind of the gym.
It's
still the gym. And the same thing. I like the art. I'll go, you know, any pop-ups, galleries, exhibits, museums.
Yep.
And I like to go outside. Just I like to enjoy like.
Bro, the weather right now, it's
like,
finally back. We had a tough winter.
Yes.
That groundhog was right about the extra 6 weeks. We had a tough winter, but it's looking really good now. Yeah.
So I'm gonna be outside for sure.
Yeah,
I'm gonna embrace it a little bit.
Get the sun.
Of course, in the same sense, network and continue pushing the agenda.
Yeah.
All right.
Fire,
so.
Bro.
Yeah, so all right, check this now, right? In reference to your R&B, what is your all right, let me ask you, because I know you ask people.
I'm right here, bro.
I'm not even ready for my own question.
Okay, let's get it.
So what is your top 5 artists right now for your R&B?
Oof. That's an interesting question too, because how much are we considering how active they are? I guess I can answer that myself.
Yeah, I was about to say, right?
I mean, and I'll go with more. I'll go with heavy hitters. I think would make sense because you got to respect legacies.
Yeah.
And we're doing R&B, and I'm gonna merge. Do I merge the men with the women or do separate 5? Because I can name some heads for real. I'll just start it with a few. Definitely Bryson Tiller.
Okay.
Definitely Bryson Tiller. So To know me is to know Bryson Tiller's music, honestly, bro, because I remember like I was, 17, driving to school, hearing Don't on SoundCloud before it had blown up.
Okay.
Like I was that type of R&B head in SoundCloud.
That's a personal touch
Super
right
personal, bro. Early Party Next Door, Tory Lanez Before the Cancellation.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. So that was definitely, once it got into like that dark, moody vibe was starting to build up, was me like going from high school into college.
Okay.
So it happened at like, as you're kind of transforming, slowly becoming into a man and experiencing new things in life.
Yeah.
So that definitely shaped my taste and my love for the new stuff. Trap Soul dropped my freshman year in college. And I kept telling everybody on campus, like, yo, this dude, Bryson, I know y'all heard that one song, Don't Exchange. This album's gonna be crazy. And now it's about to make its 10 years this year, which is crazy to think it's been 10 years since that dropped, bro.
Look at that.
Certified classic too.
Listen, you gotta do
it's
something
happening.
For that.
100%. We're gonna do a little listening session or something. So Bryson got to be there. I feel like Party Next Door has to be there. SZA, without a question. She's been going absolutely crazy.
Respect her, yes.
Summer Walker, I think, is incredible as well. And I'm excited for her. I think she's dropping a new album this year.
Okay.
So I feel like she's got to be there. Over It, classic. Still Over It, might turn into a classic. And then I think I might put Leon Thomas in there, bro.
Ooh.
For his recent ascension.
That's a good acceptance for the
you
newer.
know what I'm saying,
I like,
bro?
I like
just
that.
Just for like, because I think his last album, Mutt, is probably better than all of their last projects besides maybe SOS.
Okay.
So better than Summer's last album, better than Bryson's self-titled last album, better than P&D, and better than Some Sexy Songs For You, which was more of a Drake album anyways.
Okay, yeah.
I think Mutt that's going to be a certified classic for sure.
Yeah.
And I think he's dope because he brings in, because he's only 31, so he's actually younger than people even realize. He's got the new gen fucking with him, but if you're older, you can be attached to his music because he has the vocals, he plays in a band, he has live instrumentation. It has a little bit of that traditional R&B, but also with a new sound.
Break it down.
So I think, you know what I'm saying? I feel like he
can
can really be the next leader, at least on the men's side of R&B overall. Because again, and I saw him live too, actually at a soccer event. I said, did I curate this event, bro? So New York City FC, New York City Football Club, they had their 10-year anniversary, the team that plays the Yankees. They about to move to Queens. And for the performer, they had Leon Thomas. And I was like, bro, this is, how could I ask for more in one event? And bro, live, vocals crazy. He's playing instruments. He got his band with him. Stage presence, everything. Fashion too, met his style. Like, he had everything, bro. So I think Leon Thomas got to be that fifth spot. And he's about to take off. I mean, he's already taken off, but if this next album can be even close to Mutt, he's that next guy, bro. He's that guy for sure. Okay. And then there's like a Chris Brown, but I feel like he's above it all. He's kind of in the pop category now. He's been around for so long. So those are probably my 5-ish. But there's more up-and-comers too. And yeah, there's plenty of dope artists, bro.
I like that. I agree with that. Okay.
What about you? Who you be listening to? Or how would you rank? Because that's not just who I listen to, but that's kind of ranking.
Yeah, how would I rank? That's difficult for me. I'm a shuffle type of guy at all times. When it comes to the R&B, Tory is definitely in there for me. I will agree with the lead for new Leon. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. I'm concerned with Summer. Summer was there.
Yeah, next album got a hit.
So I'm in question in reference to that. If I,
you know who has a low key shout is Lucky Day too.
Yes,
he doesn't always have the numbers, but if you look at quality of his last couple albums, he's been up there too.
So yeah, I'm harsh when it comes to this stuff. If I'm being honest,
that's real, bro.
Yeah, like for me, I just need more. So I'll give those 3. I'll leave it there. We're gonna come back to that.
Fair.
I'm gonna need more. For me, a lot of times what happened is I remember music when we listen to, whether it was CDs or otherwise, right?
Yeah.
When we listen to it, a lot of the times those tracks we could like back-to-back hits.
Yeah.
We liked it to some stature.
Yeah.
Right? Now I feel like I set a limitation. Like if I don't like 5 songs on there, it's no good.
In the album?
Yes.
That's fair.
It's no good.
Yeah.
I need 5. And I mean 5 that I could play, save, replay.
Yeah.
In any, like, you know.
That's real, bro. 100%.
Actually, R&B is my go-to when I work out.
Okay, interesting. Talk to me about that. Sometimes I work out to R&B. I usually do rap, but sometimes
so check this out. I feel like, all right, for me, all right, this is New York City.
Yeah, absolutely.
We being real. So it's a lot of like hustling, bustling, like noise, all this extra stuff, right?
Yeah.
For R&B and how it works in the science of like working out, the mind to muscle connection for me.
Okay.
I feel like you find mind to muscle in R&B. Like even if you date further back, like that was like jazz music. That was stuff like that. So like it hits
at
the
its
soul.
core.
Yeah, it hits the soul a little bit more. So for
Yeah.
me, if I'm working out with intent,
Yeah.
to me R&B has a little bit more intent.
That's interesting.
You know, or overall speaking, like you're gonna
That's
have
fair.
hip hop songs and otherwise that have intent. Yes, sure.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? But we're not here for debate.
Mhm.
I look at it more so like overall speaking, R&B. Most of the times when those songs are when they're played, it's coming from a place more so as to opposed to where like other genres of music, they could just be noise at times.
That's very fair.
So for me, I feel like that's more of a connection for me. And I'm gonna hit my PRs, I'm gonna get my workouts to feel good. I could dance, I could do my bullshit. Like
I think sometimes too, like I feel like myself, I have two types of energies in the gym. Sometimes I'm like super calm and focused and like I'm relaxed even if I'm pushing heavy.
Okay.
Or I'm like kind of amped up, pissed off and trying to push out the negative emotions. So that'll dictate the R&B versus like a petty Drake talking shit about niggas type vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's kind of my two different ones. But sometimes I find out if I'm in that more relaxed vibe, listening to some smooth stuff, smooth melodies, I'm actually doing better because I'm not thinking too much about my thoughts. I'm actually more focused in the workout, which ironically is better for your thoughts because you're having time to zone out and not overthink. Because as entrepreneurs, it's easy to overthink because you can think about your business 24/7. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same as just going into the office and clocking in.
Yeah.
So sometimes I actually find myself doing better in that way, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
For sure. But I do want to hear your perspective on, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
29.
29.
Last of it, man.
So we're actually very close in age then.
Yeah.
So curious to hear your perspective on people thinking, like I said, I had the party, R&B isn't dead. But some people do think that it's just not what it used to be. I have all my opinions on it, but I would like to hear your perspective.
Unpopular. Let's go. I love it.
Yeah.
I do think it's not what it used to be.
Okay.
That I can say that. I say that easily so because like one, it just doesn't get like, all right, this is how I look at it, right? I know it's going to be a little biased coming from me. When you think of, think of the mainstream line, right?
Yeah.
When you think of it, who are, I guess, give me 3 R&B artists that's holding it down right now.
Leon Thomas, SZA, Bryson Tiller, Party Next Door.
Okay,
I mean, does Drake count?
Nah. Right?
That's fair. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
right? So now, right?
Yeah. Or The Weeknd could be one.
I'm going to break that down, right? So, SZA for me, I love her. She just got the push.
Okay.
Is how I look at it, right? Who else did you name? Leon, right?
Yeah.
We gave credit to what came out. I want to see more.
Fair.
Right? And then who else?
I said Bryson, but a lot of people say Chris Brown.
Yeah, if they chose that. So Chris Brown, we gonna leave him in his element.
I feel like that's pop too. I'll give him,
that's pop.
Same one, because the thing is too, Beyonce, Rihanna, how do you say those names? I feel like that's still more pop. Even though they do R&B.
They've transitioned into a world where it's like
they're beyond
that. So for me, even when you're naming some of those people, when they came out, they was R&B.
Yeah. That's
how I look at it. So like for me, I guess maybe due to times or whatever, that's what I connect to as R&B.
Okay.
If I hear something otherwise, it's not hitting the same. It's that the mind, the body.
You think so?
If it don't connect like that, I don't know. So like as to you, when you have your episodes of Vino Vridays, when you think about it, you're not talking about those mainstream artists, are you? You talking about underground artists.
That's
you're talking
fair
about
too.
right.
That's fair.
And for me, it might be a reason, right, where you could be mentioning them because if you break down the lyrics to what they're talking about, it might bring you back more to like the other artists from their earlier times compared to now. A lot of people transitioning into the pop, rightfully so. I understand for them, like that's where the money is at. That's where more advertisement
more global
for them.
sound.
That's shout out to that. Like everybody wants to do well.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it isn't where it was.
I think statistically you're correct. Like that's a fact.
Okay.
And for one example, we don't have our usher.
Yeah.
That's a one big. We don't have our usher. We don't have, and I will say,
there's no
R&B.
replacements.
You know what I'm saying? R&B being played outside is in a tricky point too, which is where my event comes in, and I'm trying to do something new and different because when you see R&B on a flyer, ironically, I think it's one of the only genres you expect Usher and you expect Love by Keisha Cole
certain,
and Fantasia. You actually expect the older music. If you see hip hop on a flyer, you do want some new stuff. You're expecting Drake or Lil Baby or
it's
some New York stuff or Sexy Joe. So I do think it's viewed in like this golden era everybody wants to go back to. But I think if you look deep enough, you can find all the talent in R&B. But again, I do agree with you that it's not necessarily the mainstream biggest names are the ones there.
So So if I'm viewing it as a consumer, right? As a consumer, what you're doing is great. So I think the middle ground is to find that nuance is just a matter of exposure.
It is,
right?
bro. That's
so
what
that's
I mean.
really
Exactly.
what it is. So when it comes to this R&B artist, so now the question I would think would be, why are the underground R&B artists or new upcoming R&B artists not receiving that exposure?
Well, I think it's because R&B and rap have merged so much
Mm-hmm.
that the mainstream sound of both has converged.
Okay.
Drake being obviously the main reason as a rapper / singer.
Yeah.
You think about Bryson, he raps a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
You think about Party Next Door, same thing.
Yes.
Tory did the same thing. Chris Brown started rapping a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then even like, do you remember that Kehlani song? It's like a sexy drill R&B song. Kehlani, that guy, right?
Yeah.
He's doing like sexy drill and B. By the way, I think his album is fire.
Okay.
But even that is like, it's kind of coming from rap sounds and then singing over those beats. So I think the merging of the genres have made it hard to know what is just pure R&B.
Is there even pure R&B in
there? There is, for sure.
Okay.
So some people I would shout out is like Isaiah Falls.
Okay.
Do you know him?
Yes, I am
Florida
aware.
Baby.
Yes.
He dropped his album Drugs and Lullaby.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs and Lullaby is definitely that. He's dropping his debut album. That was his, I guess, technically a mixtape or a project.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
But proper debut album this year. I just had this girl on the show, Safa. She's super dope. She's definitely proper R&B. Her EP, The Prelude, was her debut moment. She's out here. So there's definitely artists out here, 100%. I've worked with Chase Shakur before. He's R&B. But I do think the mainstream sound being so much of a merging sound makes it harder for pure R&B to rise to the top.
Yeah.
But Mutt is a great example of that moment because people know Mutt, the album and the song. People know the song by him. Yes, It Is, for instance, can be played outside. So it's just a timing thing, I would say.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's kind of my view on it.
I guess the melody and the sound this is what we gravitate to now.
Yeah.
Once again, it goes into another thing where there's so much content for us to consume. It gets to a point where it's like, I guess we just, whatever gravitates most numbers.
Yeah.
And we go to shit like the sexy drill. Or I don't even know what we call it, sexy drill, but what the actual genre of music would be called technically at that point. You know, because it's not quite.
Is it hip hop?
You know, yeah.
Some people say no. I think it is. Is like, what do you think? You think it's hip hop? You know what I mean? So are they rapping? Are they? I don't know. Even A Boogie, let's say, you know what I'm saying? A Boogie's right in the middle. Yeah, that's not rap.
But yeah, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I think we're at a point where we gotta learn to accept it.
Yeah, of course. No, listen, I love the new stuff, so I'm not hating on it at all.
To accept it. So that's what it is. A lot of like, for me, once again, when it comes to my music and whether I'm working out, otherwise, whatever the case may be, a lot of times like I will always make sure that some of the older music is present in what I listen to.
Yeah.
I just feel like for me, I look at it as lyricism. I want to hear storytelling.
Real.
So that might make me bypass some of the new sound.
Okay.
And it might actually veer me towards some of the underground artists that's doing the R&B stuff.
Yeah.
So that's that middle that I might skip, but there's still R&B taste in both.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Yeah,
bro.
that's really how I see it.
That's fire. That's fire.
Hold on, let me see something. I got a question in. Hold on.
Listen, I'm excited, bro.
Let's get it. Hold on. Right?
Put my shit down too.
All right. Let's have some fun with it.
Okay.
From what you can recall from the episodes that you have, right?
Yes.
This is something like a would you rather sip or spill, whatever we want.
Should we pour up for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it, bro.
Hold on.
Let's be getting ready for the segment, man. My bad. Me and my many alarms with this busy life always got something reminding me to do something. Missed it, but I had it an hour too early.
Yo, to be honest, that's what we have to do.
Nah, it's real, bro. That's one new thing with tech is the amount of reminders I be setting, whether it's Alexa, my phone, the alarms, like that definitely be helping, bro.
When it comes to AI, how you feel?
That R&B girl I just mentioned, we talked about AI and music. I'm not a fan of that, bro. No way. And I feel like I have a pretty balanced perspective on like what's new, like not being biased towards what's new or what's old and just thinking for myself, is this a good or a bad thing? Is this good or bad music? And when it comes to AI in music, nah, bro. Nah, not for songwriting, not for creating the entire beat, the entire production. I think like maybe for editing, if it found a quicker way for you to cut off these open sounds during the recording session that someone was gonna manually do that has no value, but the creativity of human to go through it for like our rawest form of expression being music, I can't rock with that.
So what about just visual representation then? Like
music? No. Okay.
Yeah, see?
So like a music video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
that's
about a
different.
video?
I'm talking about creation of the music. Like Like if I heard one day that "Don't" was made by AI, bro, I might never listen to music again. You know what I'm saying? Like, or some shit like, you know, some classic. Imagine Confessions, like, oh no, that's AI.
Yeah.
Like that'd be crazy. But video, if it's some crazy visualizer, because we already use AI, bro. If you think about the Avengers, all those crazy graphics, that's AI.
We watch it and we love it.
That's cool. Visuals is completely different. Because all music videos don't need to be shot in real life anyway. So I'm cool with that. I'm just saying, like, making a song. Yeah. What did you do? You prompted it? Yeah. What's even an artist? And how does IP work? And then if the AI made a song based off of like some Kendrick shit, does he not get a cut? So like the intellectual property of it all is gonna be nuts.
That's something that
it's gotta be a huge
field,
bro.
Yes.
And then I feel like they're gonna have to develop softwares to verify what's real and what's AI.
Yes.
That's gonna become the whole business world and all that shit. It's gonna change, bro. Because it's getting crazy out here, man. We know Kanye using it. People saying Playboy Cardi. So I'm not rocking with it. I'm not rocking with it. I'm not rocking with it, bro.
All right, you ready for it?
Let's do it.
Let's get it. All right. Based on the past, right?
Yes.
Why would you not have a previous guest on?
Nah, bro. I've only had good guests.
I'm not gonna ask you to say who, but why?
Nah. If you've been on my show, I fuck with you. No questions asked.
There we go. I like the politics. There we go.
Nah. Thankfully, it's all been smooth. No, we're not doing that. Yeah.
All right. Who is someone in the podcast space that you can't stand?
Can't stand?
Yeah.
I'll just give a category, just like the super misogynistic men who constantly peddle hate towards women. Like, it does nothing for anyone. There's no positivity in that at all. It's pointless. You a hater, like, just stop.
Okay.
Just stop, yeah.
Right? What's a green flag you pretend to care about, but you don't?
Well, I am cuffed, but a green flag I pretend to care about, but I don't. That's a funny question. I don't even know, bro. A green flag I pretend to care about, but don't.
And it doesn't even have to be something that's like, that you deem that. It could be a slight.
That is so interesting, bro. A green flag I pretend to don't. Maybe job shit. I don't know how much I care what you do for work.
Okay. So that counts.
Yeah. Like if you know what I'm saying, you think you're like, oh, I'm this lawyer, whatever, like making crazy. I don't know.
It's whatever.
I want to connect with you as a human being, not that. Yeah. I'll say job.
Okay.
Job with the green flag.
Good, right? I guess wine drunk. Most embarrassing thing you've done while drunk.
I've had some nights, bro. No more though. No more. Actually, I'm to a point too of like, I'm gonna also make sure I don't even get a hangover.
Yes.
So even if I'm lit, I'm gonna get a full meal.
Yes.
I'm chugging water. I have hydration drinks before and after. I ain't playing with none of that. No more hangovers 2025. I promise you that.
That's good.
Definitely there's been a couple like outside pukes. You know, it's one thing to puke at home, puking outside, no bueno. In an Uber too, I've done that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's bad, bro. Bad. It's happened. There's definitely been a couple of those. Back in the day, no more.
One thing that you regret not doing sooner.
That's good, bro. I don't really regret anything because I think it's all worked out the best way it possibly could. I would say probably low-key could have maybe started the pod. I wasn't in New York though. I was living in Philly at the time. Maybe just, I'd say, putting my face on the soccer shit from the beginning. So day one was like visually me talking about it, even if it was through iPhone video and not a podcast.
Yeah.
I think that probably would have helped more than being like a graphics page.
Okay.
Because the personal connection and personal branding of it would have been like, oh, we actually saw him like grow up type shit. So I think that could have helped. Not a regret, because I don't think I was ready for that either.
Yeah.
I think that would have helped. And then I think I could have started talking about the music content and posting that earlier as well. Because it used to just be a story post. So actually the way Vino Vridays really started was all the way back in Philly, because I was there after graduation for a couple of years. I would like post a wine and like a new song on my story like every Friday. Because I would naturally have friends over, we'd sip whatever, listen to new music and go out.
Friday?
You know what it is, bro? So I still work in the corporate world, but I'm about to be leaving it, is I feel like, well, regardless of that, for a lot of people, it's kind of like the excitement of I just finished my week and I have the whole weekend ahead of me. So it's almost like the beginning of the possibilities of what could happen type vibe. There's like a little bit of excitement to it. I know some people be feeling super drained on Fridays, but I personally get the uplift of like, okay, let's kind of like.
So you like to set the vibe.
It kicks off the week, and I like that kickoff energy. Kind of like the first day
second win,
yeah, bro. Like when you first arrive to a trip, that energy, that excitement. You looking at your friends at the hotel, the Airbnb, like that, that feeling. I feel like Friday has that energy. So that's what I really like about it, bro.
Okay.
But I feel like I could have been posting on feed, really talking about this music and the wine and the not events yet, because I didn't even know I could turn it into an event yet. But even just talking about music, that kind of content, I could have been posting earlier. So if I was posting that back in 2019. everything would be at another level. Again, not a regret because I didn't have a business plan and a strategy, but I think I probably could have. If I put my face on that, yeah, bro, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
The version of you now.
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself from episode 1 of anything that you started?
Yeah. So episode 1 of the soccer stuff, I'll say, because that's been a few years now, would probably be, just keep going. Just keep going. Because I think we just had episode 83 of it. Mm-hmm. It's taken us like Mexico, Atlanta, LA, all places. One of our guys is in Germany right now filming a documentary. Just like absolutely crazy stuff.
Nice. Like
just keep going. Don't worry about anything else other than like working and living in your purpose. It will all work out. Because there's definitely some tough times in that journey. A lot of moments of like, when are we going to really recoup on this? When are we finally going to monetize it? But like, just keep going. What y'all doing is niche. It's special. It's needed. It's deeper than just a sport. Keep going. And then for the Vino thing, which has my first episode was probably March 24.
Okay.
So I after my first event, I think I then recorded my first episode a little bit after that. My first public event, I would say. Mm-hmm. I would say is don't be so hard on yourself, and don't overly just let the night be the night. Because I think I used to be so obsessed with making sure the events would be exactly how I envisioned it in my brain. And I would get almost not too excited or think too much about it, but thinking about the DJ will play this song at this time and everybody's gonna and it's like, bro, I'm the host, I'm not even the DJ. So it's kind of just knowing just let it be. Let it be what it is. Yeah, breathe a little bit, because I feel like I was getting a little tense into it and not even enjoying the night the way I could. So, yeah.
You would have thought it was the 9 to 5.
Listen, bro. Right? So just let it go a little bit. Let it go a little bit. Yeah.
All right. What fear are you currently battling today?
That's a great question, bro. I would say for the soccer stuff, we're doing really well and we have some amazing stuff in the works. So I don't know if this is a fear, but I would say I'm kind of almost more a curiosity of what is it gonna turn into? Because we're doing a lot of things in a lot of different directions. We have the podcast stuff, but now we have kind of behind the scenes media agency things. And then we're also doing we have the soccer events too. Plus we have more long-term kind of outside the studio content. So, we're interested in documentaries and content series. I'm kind of more curious, what's it gonna look like? And am I gonna make sure that with all the options of things we can do, that I'm still loving it the same way? So not necessarily a fear, but kind of a curiosity, and just making sure I'm intentional with what we do as a group.
Yes.
And also making sure I'm voicing myself enough in the group that it's looking the way I want it to. Again, not really a fear, but just making sure I kind of have that presence.
Okay.
On the Vino thing
Still breathe.
Yeah, of course.
The last thing
yeah,
that we
always,
too.
bro. No, and I'm in a good space. For the Vino thing is, I don't want to say, am I doing it right? But I'm trying to think for the Vino, the fear. I think my thing would be maybe back to event cadence, low key.
Okay.
Maybe event cadence, can I keep up? I know I can keep up attendance, but yeah, bro, I can't let that shit be empty. You know what I'm saying?
I understand,
making sure I'm having it at the right times, making sure I'm being, actually, you know what it is? Actually, I'll say this, and I was talking to my girl about this. Fear of making sure my branding is living in the event. So me talking about this new R&B, me talking about all these kind of vibes, really being intentional that the event is always looking like the brand, and they're not two separate things. Because I can't be talking about the new age R&B and then not making it clear enough to all my DJs yo, we have to really push this, 40% of the night, whatever it is. Or make sure, let's say the first set is purely that. So really making sure that my vibe and my music selection and putting people onto new energies is living in the event, which is why I'm thinking of an event series I'll talk to you off camera about. It's gonna be a bit more earlier in the night. I'm gonna play the music myself and kind of have it separate, more of a mixer energy and not really necessarily be a party, to make sure that my branding is not separate from the event and the event is just some party. Because the last thing I can let my shit be is just another party in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Because there's a million of those and they're a lot and they're fun. My shit has to be different. It has to feel different every time.
Keep that
So just
value
being
there,
super intentional about that value, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what makes the difference.
Word.
Then we're going to see Wolf there.
Yeah, bro. Listen, trying to get Wolf up.
Right. All right. What's the biggest red flag you've ignored? It could be in reference to anything. It doesn't have to be a relationship.
Well, for younger me, years ago, definitely you have to know when to cut the ties. You have to know when to cut the ties, and when you've seen enough, bro.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that are just so unacceptable. Like it has to stop there.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I definitely let some stuff play out that I absolutely should not have. So just, yeah, I mean, women wilding, to be honest. I don't know what other way to put it. Because there's all types of wilding, you know the many forms. Any of those forms of wilding is like, bro, they can't be doing that. What was the other part of the question?
No, that was
it. Yeah, just sometimes I'm like, she did what? Nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, okay,
for sure.
All right. So in all of what you said, right? I'm gonna take this moment, right? It's something on Speaks and Sip that I like to call a speak up.
Okay.
Right? In reference to everything that you do, that you've done, that you plan to.
Yes, sir.
What's a message that you would leave with the audience? Your audience, my audience, our audience, the audience.
Yeah, for sure.
What is a message that you would leave?
Yeah, man. I would say really like create for yourself and let others come to that. You know, I think that a lot of the time, especially if it's anything public facing, whether that's in podcasting, that's in content events, there's this idea and kind of, if you go deep into it, it comes from like a childhood need for validation to really try to do things to please other people. So for my event, I could be trying to put all the genres, all the music that I know is already popping and popular that you guys can come and pack it out and I'm just doing the same old shit. Or trying to do the type of clips that go viral, doing the little TikTok dance that you know certain numbers are kind of hitting at, rather than really creating for yourself and using it as a form of self-expression to get out there and then properly finding your audience that resonates with that. I think that that's super important because one, it's gonna mean more to you, and when it gets difficult and you have to push through, you're going to be able to do so because of how much you genuinely love it. So building up Black soccer culture in America, you know, my love for new R&B, my love for it is what's going to keep it going rather than trying to chase the next sort of thing. You know, it's kind of like creating your own wave versus riding the wave. So I think that's super, super important to be able to do. And that way that you're really doing it for yourself and not chasing the validation of others, because that will never end up in the right place. And you're going to find yourself doing some crazy, crazy shit. I'm sure of it. So that's definitely something that I think is super, super important. And then in general too, I think some people who maybe haven't tapped into their creativity or entrepreneurship, which I don't think is by force either, because I think there's amazing things you can do with a 9-to-5, and there's a lot of value in those constraints and not having to deal with all the bullshit of entrepreneurship. Yeah. Because one person's kind of said, it's really just putting out a lot of fires constantly. You know what I mean? Just and you're thinking about it 24/7 because technically you could always be working on it. It's not the same structure, like all that type of stuff. I would say that. But if you are looking to maybe get into it, is like, what are you passionate about and what are you really good at? And what can you find as the cross section for that? So are you super passionate about gardening and are great in conversation and can start a gardening podcast? We might think like we don't really care about that, but I guarantee you a bunch of mamas is gonna watch that. I promise you, around the country. You know what I mean? Something like that. Are you, I don't know, maybe you're super into wine. You thought, you know, maybe I could fuck around and turn into a sommelier. I have a natural way of tasting this. So what are you passionate about? What are you really good at? And what can you find as like the intersection for those two? Because you do need both. Yes. Right? I love soccer. Yes. I was not good enough to go pro. So I didn't focus on trying to go pro. Actually, from a young age, I knew I'm going to be really good in high school, but we're going to keep it here. I'm going to find something else. So I think that's another really good advice. What are you really good at? What are you passionate about? And how do you match those together? Okay. Yeah. I like that. What about you, bro? Yeah. So, okay, hold on. You might have given a few, you know what I'm saying? But okay, yeah. To be honest, a speak up, I would say, to keep it a simple form, I'll say a simple form first. When you're with intent, put yourself first. Yeah. Very simple. Right? Now, when it comes to the grand scheme of things, right? I say this in a sense where some people are going to relate to this in all senses, right? In all of what we do, even to an analogy that you gave of the childhood trauma and stuff like that. A lot of the times, when we're young, we're trying to figure stuff out. Yep. So we don't know to put ourselves first, right? In order for us to understand what we want to do, in order for us to understand if we even have passion for something, we have to focus on us, right? Focus on you, figure that out, then you can help. So I think a lot of times we see a vision and we try to shortcut things, and we're like, hey, like, okay, let me immediately tell everybody, and let me immediately just involve this person, but you don't really have it all figured out. Yeah. Keep in mind now that you've involved that person is only really like following your lead or just your support system. But you must figure it out. Yeah. When shit don't go your way,
Got to figure it out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, breathe.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So I think a lot of times in reference to what we do, whether it's 9 to 5 or entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
right? We kind of like, we struggle the whole way, but understand you're going to.
Yeah, you have to struggle.
There has to
be an acceptance of the struggle, I think, sometimes.
There is no way to bypass that. And if you don't, then you might not actually be doing the right thing.
Yeah. How are you not struggling?
How are you not struggling? So,
everyone has a struggle too. It can look in different ways, but I feel like you have to have
I feel like embrace the struggle, right? Figure it out yourself. Then you can provide. You can help.
Yeah. And find something worth struggling for.
Yeah.
Back to the other point.
Passion, to
you
what
know
you said.
saying?
So I feel like that's a big thing.
That's fire, bro.
That's a big thing. And I think for both of us, really, in reference to, if I can speak in reference
of course, bro.
If for what we're doing, when it comes to like branding, promoting, it's all concepts in reference to the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, we are giving light to what's, I wouldn't even say not known. It's known, but it's ignored.
Yeah. Especially events, actually, because there's some shit we were just talking about. We could talk about here too.
Exactly.
Events, I feel like, is not talked about that much in terms of content. You know what I mean? And a lot of content isn't really informative either in general.
It's not. So I feel like you just find that space, and it's someone.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Ro Astoria on my last episode. It was the whole thing about just finding community.
Yeah, it's real.
All of us really just finding the pocket, finding the space, finding community, finding our algorithm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, that's really all of what it is. And then understand, once you have that, things can coexist.
Yeah.
Things can now flourish from that point, but you must have the root of what's going on.
That's real, bro. So, that's dope.
That's what I really say.
Nah, I love it, bro. Back to some of the event stuff, because we were talking about it outside a little bit. Yeah, definitely gotta get into it, bro. So I'm kind of curious, talking a bit more about your event, how that experience has been for you, and then some of the challenges that you face in the event space. Because I think with events too, especially, because I talked about kind of like the anxiety of it, the nervousness. Yeah. The event always goes well. Everyone has a good time.
But you're still always gonna have that.
Or even like, I'll be happy by the end of the night. Yeah. But the fact is, it took so much to give y'all your happy 3 hours. And then you get back to the fucking, shit, we gotta do it again. Yes. But as a guest, it's like, oh, this is really nice. And like, it's just funny that it's like, y'all don't know what we're going through, bro. Like,
let me tell you something. Okay, so shout out to Beats and Sip, man. Shout out to Dre again.
Yes,
like, Beats and Sip, this was like, we're talking about like in the heart of like it went from, the game plan was during COVID.
Yeah.
Right out the gate.
Yeah.
Right? So we talking, this is a party concept where it was a little bit different, a lot of bit different.
Yeah, it's good.
It was one of those things where it's like, you have a host, you have a DJ, you have curators. Yes. Yeah. But the difference is a concept that we allow you guys as the audience to actually go up and reconstruct the sound. Yeah. You are involved in music.
That's dope.
So to people who have a taste in music, you can get a better taste in music.
That's cool.
To people who didn't know they had a taste in music, you build that taste in music.
That's cool, bro.
To people that just wanted community and a social setting, it builds that space.
That's fine, man.
So to answer your question, I think in reference to that, the hardest thing, especially during that time, was just that socialness. And it was something that was out of our control, because people truly just, it was difficult to communicate to one another.
It was, bro.
And I'm like, I'm looking around at times and I'm like, yo, shit. And the same thing, we could have a good outcome. Yeah. But just for me, I don't try to control any factors though, but I just look at certain things like, yo, that was an opportunity right there. People could have just, So what we have is when we call, we literally call people up.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right? And we call people up, like, keep in mind, this is an opportunity to fucking network, find the one, whatever.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Figure your shit out.
Definitely.
But you there to socialize. At the end of the day, you there to find community. You there to understand, like people have the same taste in music. People have same personality types. It's just different faces, for real. You get what I'm saying? Like we all have similarities.
Yeah, we do.
So that's one of those things where it's like, for me, like just seeing that, it was upsetting. But then as it grew, you see more of the camaraderie, the community, the union. Good. So like, I think that's really what it was for me. It still is. Even when I go to any other party, you get what I'm saying? It's the same thing. Like, I look at it like, yo, guys, let's embrace each other more.
Yeah, no, that is an issue, bro. And I think for our age demographic, I feel like we're in. So I think, are you technically Gen Z or are you technically a millennial? You know what I'm saying?
So
because we're only 1 year apart.
Yeah,
I think I might be the beginning of Gen Z, or there's one more year.
So I don't know. Yeah.
You're right in the middle. Either way, we're 1 year apart. I feel like our age down to like, 23 is very different than the 6 years above us.
Correct.
In terms of the social energy.
Yeah.
Whether that's within friend groups and how they socialize outside, or from dudes approaching girls or girls approaching guys, whatever it is, just the level of mingling, you can see a tangible difference for sure. Let
me tell you something. Hot take, man. So my whole thing is like, I honestly don't even, I'm not too big on the club space for real.
Yeah.
So club space, not for me.
Yeah.
Social. I want you to be social. Like I said, my biggest thing is like the union, the community, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I'm tired. We done buried this shit in the ground. We understand that there's gonna be occasions where for men and women, we both gotta hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah.
Guys gonna go out, it's a guy's night, yo, we trying to find the hottest thing in the spot, whatever the case is. Women, y'all going through y'all little struggles or whatever the case is, and y'all trying to have a hot night too on the same type of time. And like, I'm trying to find a handsome man, like where this at, whatever the case is. Look, that's not the only reason we outside to talk to one another.
No, that's real. Yeah, it's important, bro.
That shit kills me, because then a lot of times when there's opportunity for the community, then you have that, and then next thing you know is drama that follow right behind it because something didn't go right. Because this person friend this, like, yo, I'm not here for that. You know what I'm saying? What are we doing? For me, I like to have quality people in the building.
Yeah, man.
Quality.
I relate to everything
you're
saying 100%.
Yeah,
bro.
like you know. So I'm all about the quality. When it's quality people in the building, man, people gonna look past just who can I date, who can I talk to type shit, you know? And we live in a fast-paced city, so we understand how it,
city.
You feel what I'm saying? So I get it, but at the same time, that don't mean that's always what you're supposed to be on. That
100%. I think that's the missing portion, is like, you should be able to go out and socialize just for the sake of creating community, networking, vibing out. It doesn't always have to be purely we talk to nobody, or I'm finding the one, or I'm just outside on some wild and shit. Like, there's a middle ground. You can just like meet people, vibe out. It's cool. It's calm. I think. Like, relax. you know what I'm saying?
Breathe, relax.
100%.
And for your health.
Yes, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Actually.
Like, because I mean, you have a lot of people too that fuck around and say like shit like, oh my God, I don't have friends and nobody cares for me. Like, nah, there's people out there for real.
100%.
There's people out there.
You gotta find the spots.
You just gotta understand. Like, once again, put yourself first. Work on yourself.
Yeah.
When you step back outside, you gonna know. The
100%.
energy people have is gonna be there. You're gonna see who means well and stuff like that. Granted, you're gonna have challenges. There's gonna be people,
of course,
on bullshit. We all go through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, there are good people out there just trying to socialize. You gotta look at it like, what are you working on? That's my question to you. Like, I'm not the guy trying to talk. What are you working on? Right? Are you networking? Let me hear your aspirations. That excites me. If anything, if we get to the point where, okay, hold on, she interested.
You
know what I'm saying? That's how that's going to start.
Before it was just some cool
facts, you know what I'm saying? Like,
facts,
let it be that, if anything. And that's just really what I'm on
that's
when
cool,
it comes to that.
Yeah, and I relate to that too, because I've always called my event a social event and party. And as I mentioned before, it wasn't always nightlife spots, and only recently has it been like a few in a row at, for instance, Red Pavilion, the one you slid to. Like, I had the two at Lips Cafe. I've had earlier ones at Erzuli, Lovejoy's, places like that. And people have really met. I've seen girls that have met there. Now they're working together on some side projects, things like that. I've seen romantic things happen there, like just all types of really building community. Man. And I'm like, that's why I think it's important, especially as we look at like Gen Z and just the lack of the community and just how much more people have grown up solely on the internet. People who are, had COVID in college, which I think was a major switch of vibes. So I graduated right before COVID. So everything right after is when the vibes started getting a little fucked up. Some people went through college straight COVID. And like that just changed. And I feel bad for them. You know what I mean? Like that really changes so much how you interact with people. But I think it's really important for people to be able to just pull up to a spot, meet someone new, and not be full of anxiety in doing so. And like, let the meeting be what the meeting could be. It doesn't always have to be. I think it's the other thing too. People think if you pull up somewhere outside, it has to be on like a romantic energy. No, it does not at all. There's so much more in between that. Like,
I don't.
Because some people don't have friends, as you mentioned. Like,
exactly.
Go find a friend.
Go find a friend, man. Like,
and this is the right city for it because the events are here. The events are here.
So like, that's been. Let me tell you something, man. That's just been my biggest thing with that. So when it comes to just having events, even like with the pod, man, the whole thing is like, yo, let's sit down, let's chat. You know, what's going on? You know, what's really going on? 100%. For real? Like, you know, so I think a lot of us need more of that. It's not something that we search for though. I don't think it's something that we search for.
Or at least not intentionally.
Like, you know, if it stumbles upon us, then we'll look at it. But I feel like people need to understand we all need to have more intent.
Yeah.
When it comes to these things.
100%. Is there anything you think is missing from the New York event scene? Because I always talk about how I think it's super saturated, and I don't even mean that in a negative way. It's just that everybody's trying to throw an event. Everybody's trying to DJ. I feel like, I'll say this actually, everybody in New York, not everybody in New York, any industry you look at in New York, I think is saturated.
Yeah.
So you could meet a million people who are quote unquote designers and have some sort of streetwear brand or something like that. Yeah. Especially around here near Soho, LES. You know how it goes, bro. Everybody wants to DJ, throw events, throw parties. Everybody wants to do this sort of thing. Now they're starting a cannabis business, whatever. So I feel like whatever it is, there's just a ton of in New York. Doesn't matter what the industry is. And then it takes a certain level to kind of get above the amalgamous, generic kind of whatever vibe. Yeah. And so I'm just curious your thoughts on like, just what the event space in New York looks like, and also advice to people on rising above the bottom mess that is just a bunch of like, just saturation. And again, it's just the amount of people, honestly.
I think what's missing is, to be honest, first thing that comes to mind is passion.
Okay.
So, and the reason I say that is we live in a city where it's about business for real.
Yeah.
You know, like everybody look at it like, oh, like, yo, what's your
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, what do you, you know, what are you doing and stuff like that? And I look at it like, okay, do you really care to do this, or are you doing it for money? You know, like people, or are you doing it for the girls? Are you doing it for, are you doing it for the fame? Are you doing, you know what I'm saying? Like what,
people,
like a lot
back to the intentions and chasing validation. Yeah.
So I think like a lot of that's really what I've been seeing, but passion looks a little bit different. Passion is like, not to sound cliche or whatever, you're gonna see more vulnerable moments, vulnerability from when like people like us or guests are speaking on a pod. Yeah. You're gonna see more content that's geared a little bit different on social media platforms. You're gonna see more community-based things, giveaways, asking questions on what they would like to see. Like I think those type of things.
The intentionality of it, back to that too.
Yeah, I feel like those type of things are missing. Yeah. And I think you just see a lot of curation of just putting stuff out. Yeah. Granted, we are pressed against the fact of how things work, whether it's the algorithm, whether it's business, like how everybody is just like, the attention span has dropped to like 10 seconds. Yeah, that's facts too. So it is a little tough, but over time, you will definitely see the difference in people who actually care to do something. Yeah. Because most of the time when they care to do something, they struggling bad. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And we struggle bad when it comes to
that's
this
real,
stuff.
Bro. And that's what makes it worth. I know we got to get out of here in a couple seconds, but I think that is kind of like the full circle conversational point. Yes. Is finding that thing that you're deeply passionate about and willing to struggle for. Yes. And when you're deeply passionate about it, that means it's a pure reflection of you. And as corny as it sounds, there really is only one you. There really is only one unique person that can do what you do. So, and if you stick within that passion, with that grind to get through the struggles, because you will struggle because it won't be generic if it really is you. It will mean more, and you will be able to get there. And actually, it'll help you rise above that not bottom pit. I'm not trying to say it's a bad way. There's just so much going on. Yeah. How do you stick out? And even if I just speak to my event, the name Vino Vridays, the new R&B, that is a little new energy, the branding, the flowers. Yes. But hold on, what's this? I was like, what can I do to just and really reflect myself in it? So same thing with everything that you're doing, bro. Yes. And that would be like, again, just my last piece of advice is like really making it yourself, finding what makes it different, putting everything you can into it, being willing to struggle through it. And that's what gets you where you need to be.
I love it.
For sure, bro.
I love it, man.
Love it, man.
It's been a good one. I ain't gonna lie.
For sure.
It's been a good one.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro.
Of course, appreciate
yes,
you.
One last cheers. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We get out of here.
All right.
And where can everybody find us? So for me, at Gabriel, GABREEAAL, and then at Vino Vridays, VINO Vino, and then Friday with a V.
Nice.
What about you, bro?
For me, the Aaron Elijah, THE, 2 A's, Aaron, RONELIJAH_. Right? SpeaksNSip outright. All platforms. We here, man.
Yes, sir, bro.
It's been SpeaksNSip on Vino Vridays.
Best believe so. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Peace.